Hey, good afternoon, my friends. This is Patrick from StopDoingNothing.com, and bear with me a second while I get the audio and the camera just right for you. And hey, if you're listening on the podcast, welcome. I'd just like to invite you to know that there's also a video out there. And if you're watching on the video, I also want you to know that there's a podcast available for this show. Podcast is available on all over the place, on Spotify, on oh goodness gracious, what's that FM one? On Spotify, on Google, on YouTunes, on, oh goodness, whatever that other streaming service is with FM. And this will also be available in YouTube and also on the website. So if it's the kind of person that likes the content we're cranking out, I would encourage you to subscribe in all kinds of places there. Today we're going to be talking about mindset for a little bit, and I would encourage you to, if you have any questions, drop them below as I get a little bit deeper into this. And one of the ways I pick the topics, there are a couple of ways I pick the topics that I talk about for you. One of them, the number one way, is your questions. So whenever I get a question from somebody, that immediately goes to the top of the queue as to the type of topics that we talk about. And another one is by looking at some other general topics that are out there on publications that I like to watch and seeing what general questions in life people have. But a third one, and this one probably is really number two, one of the third ones I like to do is I like to go to our blog over at StopDoingNothing.com and see what the most popular posts are. I'll go there and I'll look at the analytics code for the last 30 days, the last 90 days, and see, hey, what are the most popular posts? What are people really Googling these days? What are they really interested in? What are they really reading or are they paying attention to on the site? And if you're the kind of person that has a blog or does any kind of content production whatsoever, you really should do that to see what are people talking about. We're a marketing company. Oftentimes we get questions from people like, what should we be talking about? Well, your own website on the internet and your own social media will tell you what you should be talking about. And so I went and looked at our analytics, and our most popular blog post right now for the past 30 and 90 days is one that a guest actually wrote. And it's along the lines of the 5 reasons. Let me go pull up exactly what I'm talking to here so I don't make an exact fool of myself here. But let me tell you what the most popular blog post is on Stop Doing Nothing right now. The most popular blog post on Stop Doing Nothing right now, bear with me for a second while I find this, is, come on, let me see. Oh, goodness gracious, it was right here. Bear with me for just a second. Oh, it's the 5 reasons, it's like the 5 most important reasons you should laugh more or something along those lines. Some had a guest write, it was a really popular blog post, and we have like 2 or 3 blog posts that by far stand up above the rest, and then they kind of drop off from there. But the most popular one right now is the 5 most important reasons you should laugh more. And I really believe this is a blog post about mindset. And so that's what we're talking about today. Is I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into that particular blog post, because the person that wrote it, a brilliant lady, and I don't have the blog post up right now, I can't think of her name, but she was basically referring to your mindset and how you approach things and how you think about things and just how you process things that come inside your eyes and your ears and go out of your mouth and the environment around you. And so before this show, I sat down and I thought for a little bit about 5 ways we can dig a little bit deeper into mindset. And I want you to take notes on these. I want you to process these. And I want you to take the time to go back and rewind and revisit these and see which one of these might be one of the better reasons or one of the greater reasons you either want to laugh more or want to change your mindset. So I'm not going to talk about the laughing so much. I'm going to talk about some 5 reasons that you really want to alter your mindset. And by the way, if you are tuning in live on the Facebook Live session, do me a favor, drop some emojis on there, share this with me, subscribe, like this, do whatever you can to help me spread this word as we are going live here on Facebook. Everything starts with a Facebook Live and then goes out to YouTube and the podcast and everything else. Okay. The first reason I could come up with that you either want to laugh more or change your mindset, forget the laughing, we're going to talk about changing the mindset. The first reason I really want you to think about changing your mindset is because you have some things you want to accomplish in this world, and you only have a finite amount of energy out there. Have you ever come home in the evening from a long 8-hour day of work, or 12 hours, 16 hours, or however long you are, and you are driving home and you're thinking about all these amazing dreams or monetary goals you have, or things you want to travel or do more with your spouse, and you come home and you sit down and you are just exhausted. Not the physical exhaustion. I'm talking about mental exhaustion. Mental exhaustion right there will suck the life out of you, and you only have a finite amount of mental energy. If you want to accomplish things with your life, you need to be in the mindset and the thinking processes of abundance, and you cannot do that when you are mentally exhausted. So one of the reasons you want to be in a better mood more, a laugh more, or smile more, or process happier things is because it's going to redirect your energy into things that make you feel better and will also make better use of your energy. So that's the first one right there. It's one of the reasons you want to change your mindset into one more of abundance and happiness is you have a finite amount of energy. And at the end of the day, you only have 24 hours in a day and 168 hours in a week. And you've got to conserve that. You've got to put that towards the right places. So once you're happier more, you laugh more, you smile more, you share better things, you take in better news, you don't focus on the negativity so much in politics and bad parts of the world, you're going to have better control of that energy and what you do with it. So that's the very first reason right there that you should have kind of change your mindset to be one of basically more happy. And yeah, if you can, find more reasons to smile, more reasons to laugh, more reasons to basically turn your frown upside down kind of thing than being in a constant bad mood. And I'm sure all of you know someone who's always in a constant bad mood or a constant pissy mood, and there's nothing you can do to make them happy. Back in the day on SNL, there was an actress, a performer named Rachel Dratch, and she had a very good character named Debbie Downer. And man, Debbie Downer was one of my favorite characters because she reflected what I've seen in so many people around the world about how she just finds the depression and the sadness and everything. The character was almost so bad it was humorous, that somebody was like, it was almost one of the reason I found it so humorous is because I knew people just like that. And if you spend any time around any other people at all, you're going to find people in both extremes. But those Rachel Dratches, those Debbie Downers, those are hilarious to watch after a while because they just look at everything from a piece of paper to a dog hair to a carpet to paint on the wall to the best news out there. I mean, a Debbie Downer kid could learn about the breakthrough cancer solutions and find a reason to be negative about it. So again, number one there is that you have a finite amount of energy. The number two reason you want to laugh more, smile more, or change your attitude on things goes along with the energy right there, and that is you have a finite amount of time out there. And what do I mean there? And this one's a pretty easy one. I don't have to spend a lot of time on this one. You know that right now that you're watching this, you are choosing to spend time with me. You have 60 seconds in every minute, just like I do. You have 60 minutes in every hour, just like I do. And you have 24 hours in every single day. We can extrapolate this to the number of hours you have in a week, the number of hours you have in a month, and your life. When you summarize all that up to your life, there is a certain point in time, and I don't want to be too depressing about this, where you are going to die. And until we live forever, I don't think that'll ever happen, but until we live forever, all of our lives, from the moment we're born until it ends, we are given a finite amount of time. And we don't know if that's 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, or 120 years. But whatever it is, you should always think with the mindset that, you know what, I have a finite amount of time to be happy, and I have a finite amount of time to be sad. And when it comes to all of those hours summarized together, every single time you are mad or upset or depressed or frowning or pissing in somebody else's cornflakes, you are taking away from the bucket that you have available of happy time. If you look at all of our time, let's say you've got 50 years, and let's just random number, 50 years. If you look at the number of minutes that you have being depressed, every single minute you're depressed or you're sad or you're upset or you're not smiling, you are taking away from your bigger bucket of emotions. Now, I'm not saying there are not times to be upset and be sad and have a lack of energy, but just remember you have a finite amount of time, and every single minute you are pissed off, upset, sad, hurt, depressed, focusing on something that's just kind of petty, you are taking away from the things that make you great and make you happy. So finite amount of energy, finite amount of time. The third reason you really should kind of change your attitude and change the way you deal with things are the fact that most things out here that we focus on really don't matter. One of the things that you realize as you get more mature in life is that only a small number of things matter out there. Your health matters, your family matters, and outside of that, your health, your family, your happiness, your energy. I mean, that's really about everything that matters. Your job, yeah, it's important to have a good job and do something that you're happy at. But at the end of the day, remember, a job is you're working for somebody else and you're really providing for their happiness. So, can you lose your job? Would that be depressing? Yes, it would be. However, the job that you have in the grand scheme of things really is not important, because there's other jobs out there, and your job is not there to make you happy. Your job is there to put food on the table. Now, if it happens to be happy in the process, or if it happens to make you happy in the process, then all the more power to you. Great, well done. But it really shouldn't affect your mood that much. So when it comes to things that you see in the news, following things on social media, this is a big one for me. I've done some other videos about how to create the right environment, how to block social media. I don't see most of what goes on in social media on purpose. I block it on my computer that I'm on right now, as I block my Facebook newsfeed. And I don't participate in lots of news out there. I don't spend a lot of time on CNN or MSNBC. I might go there and scan the headlines, but I don't dig deep into stories, because for the most part, those things really don't matter to me. There are some major topics that do matter to me, but in the grand scheme of things, a lot of news out there is just trivial, miscellaneous bullshit kind of noise that doesn't really matter in life. And like I said earlier, you have a finite amount of energy and a finite amount of time, and so you can't really focus on every single thing. There are people I talk to plenty of times where someone comes to me for a decision, and I'll say, I don't care. Patrick, what do you want for lunch? You know what? I don't care. I don't have the bandwidth to think about that. I really don't care. What do you care if we go here? What do you care what we do on Saturday? What do you care if we put this versus here? Furniture here versus here. I really don't care. That may matter to somebody else, but I'm really conservative and really selfish with my time, because I don't think a lot of these things matter. I try to focus on the small number of things that matter. I don't have the bandwidth in my head to make all the decisions that we make every single day, so I focus on a small number of decisions. So as a quick recap here, number one is the reason you want to change your attitude and probably laugh or smile more is you have a finite amount of energy, a finite amount of time, and most things don't matter. That's number three. We're going to go through two more here. The fourth one, which I really like, and I need to do a better job of this, is when you change your mindset and you smile more and you laugh more and you're kind of more of the happy person, it can be contagious. And I was talking earlier about that Debbie Downer character that used to be on SNL from Racial Trash. The funny part about that is people that are around that kind of person, I mean, you want to be nice to that kind of person that's depressed all the time and upset all the time. I mean, you kind of feel sorry for them, but what you will learn is that if you're around that kind of person too much, or around a group of people like that too much, what ends up happening is you will take on their attitudes. I'm sure you've heard that you basically will become the people, the kind of people you hang around, or look at the top 5 friends you have and on the average of that, and that's the kind of person you will become. When you hang around those Debbie Downers of the world, it's contagious. The sadness is contagious. The depression is contagious. The seeing the bad part of every situation can become contagious. On the flip side, when you keep yourself in a good mood and you smile more and you do things that are more apt to bring joy to people around you, after a while, people cannot help but join in that same attitude. And if they don't, then it may be time to cut that thread and find different friends. But there have been plenty of times where I've been around people or another couple, and they're like, wow, you know what? We just realized after a while that we kind of had a piss poor attitude, or they personally realized it. And they're like, gee, Merry Christmas, Patrick. And I'm not perfect at this by any means, but Patrick, just being around you, we realized that we can relate to each other better, and we can talk to each other better, and we can be in a better mood. And they picked that up from being around me. Now, that means I was having a really good day. Not all my days are like that, but that's actually been told me before, that my attitude of positivity can be contagious. It's probably one of the reasons I keep on doing Stop Doing Nothing, is because I want to spread that. So if you smile more and you laugh more, that attitude, that general joy in life can be contagious. And I would much rather be contagious over that versus the flu, or contagious over that being the kind of person everyone kind of laughs at because they are the depressing person. You do not want to be known as the depressing person, the Debbie Downer of your workplace or your home, because then people will just avoid you. And that segues into our fifth one right here, is that your thinking of happiness and abundance makes people want to be around you. All of us have a little bit of an ego, and if you don't, you're probably lying to yourself, but we like to be loved. We like to be liked. We like it when people want to be around us. We like it when we make people smile. We like it when we make people feel good, whether it's through emotions or physical love or food or drink or physical activity, whatever it is. We like to provide that for people, and people like to provide it for us. And the only way you get to do that is if you do things that make people want to be around you more. And I'm not talking about people that aren't social or tend to like to hide away or shy people. If you're the kind of person that wants to be social more and you want to be around more people, one of the ways you do that is by having a great attitude and smiling more. If you can do that, if you can exude happiness, if you can exude positivity, if you can exude the fact that you want to be successful more and that you want others to be successful more around you, you're going to attract people that want to be like that. And you're going to lift them up, and they are going to lift you up. And after a while, you guys are climbing on each other's shoulders to a more successful world. But you only do that, you only can do that if you change your attitude and you smile more and you exude more positivity. Remember, nobody wants to be around a depressing person or an upset person or a person that just, have you ever had that feeling that when you walk into a room or when certain people walk into a room, they just suck the energy out of the room? I know I've seen that, and I've heard from plenty of people that happens. It's there's nothing you can really measure, and there's no quantifiable science behind it. But there are certain people that walk in the room that just suck all the air out and suck all the happiness out. There can be 5 people in the room having a great time, smiling, laughing, just drop dead, busting a gut, laughing, and tears coming out their eyes. And someone walks in, and like everything gets quiet, and the laughing stops, and the smiling stops. And everyone's just like wants to hide away and run away and ignore the situation. In casino terms, this is called a cooler. There's a fictitious person, and there's no magic to it. There's a fictitious person that works at the casino that when someone is making way too much money, they send over someone called the cooler. And what the cooler does is the cooler exudes some kind of attitude to basically steal the mojo out of a situation. There's even a movie out there. I can't remember who's in the movie, but there's a movie called The Cooler, and it talks about the guy losing his mojo. He falls in love or something like that. He can't steal the other people's mojo because he's in such a good mood all the time. And the casino has a problem working with him anymore because he doesn't kill the vibe like he used to. He's way too happy. So there are people like that. You don't want to be that person. So your thinking of happiness and abundance and success is going to make more people be around you. Now, for those of you that are catching the tail end of this podcast or the tail end of this video on YouTube or Facebook, let's recap the 5 reasons that you want to have a better attitude, smile more, laugh more out there. Number 1, you have a finite amount of energy, and you can spend it crying and being depressed, or you can spend it, being happy and smiling and sharing more happiness with people. It's up to you. You've only got 1 bucket. Same with your time bucket. That's number 2. You have a finite amount of time out there. And at some point in time, your bucket's going to expire, and you're going to end up on a slab someplace and 6 feet under someplace. And you want to make sure that on your last day, you spent more time happy and fulfilled and had enjoyment in your life than you did, being kind of a depressed, pissed off person. Number 3 was most things don't matter. That's why you have to change your attitude on paying less attention to things that don't matter and more attention to things that there are very few things out there that really affect your life. And I've also noticed that the more attention you pay to things that do matter and the less attention you pay to things that don't matter, your brain, you don't have that fried frazzle thing going on in your brain all the time. Number 4 is it can be contagious. Your attitude is contagious. Believe it or not, even though you don't think it is, whether it's a good attitude or a bad attitude, it is contagious. And you want to make sure you are contagious for the good reasons, not for the bad reasons. The last one is your thinking of happiness and abundance that will make people want to be around you more. And if you've ever kind of a loner person, you wonder why people don't want to be around you, well, that may be a reason. Maybe you don't exude the attitude of happiness. Maybe you don't exude an attitude of having an attractive attitude or an attractive mood that people want to be around. And some people just don't realize that they are kind of the cynical person that sucks the wind out of every room and sucks the energy out. And I've been that person before. I've had people, walk into a room before and I had to check myself because people say, well, Patrick, we were having a good time and then you walked in. And sometimes they're kidding, but sometimes there's a reason they're saying that. So it's important to make sure that you are not that person. Hey, this is most of what I've had to say. I appreciate your attention today. If this has been useful, do me a favor, share this on Facebook or on YouTube or on the podcast, wherever you're listening to it. Subscribe, like, follow. Do all those things you can to stay in tune, stay up to date with the work that we're doing over on the Stop Doing Nothing fan page and StopDoingNothing.com. And as always, if you have any questions for me, message me either on my personal Facebook profile, Patrick Allmond, ALLMOND, or message me on the Stop Doing Nothing Facebook page, or you can message me on Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn, wherever, and give me the topic you want me to cover more. And I will definitely not use your name. I'll just say, John Doe or Jane Doe or whatever, but whatever topic you have out there in life or business that you are struggling with right now, I would love if you would send that to me, because I can use that to make future videos, also to make sure that you get your questions answered and that you get use out of being a member of the Stop Doing Nothing High Achievers. And like I said, don't forget over on Facebook to like, share this out there, because there are plenty of people that even if you're the perfect person and you don't have any issues with these 5 areas I covered, you likely have a friend or family member or both, a coworker, who could benefit from this information. So make sure you share this video for me and subscribe on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, subscribe all over the place. And don't forget to subscribe over on iTunes also. As always, I appreciate your time. Hopefully you will have a great week planned ahead of you if it's the beginning of the week, and a great weekend if it's end of the week, depending on where you're watching. And until the next podcast, if you're listening, or the video if you're watching live, excuse me, sorry about that. You take care of yourself, and I'll see you during the next live video. This has been Patrick Allmond from StopDoingNothing.com.